Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
You know, it's been roughly a week since the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo Alvarez fight. And in that time, me and several others have made several videos just on the matter, because there's been a lot of stuff going around. People saying this, injuries, etc., etc., etc. But over the last few days, it's come to light, specifically an IFL interview that was conducted post-fight with trainer Mark Tibbs. Now, Mark Tibbs was in the corner of Billy Joe Saunders. This was done pretty much straight after the fight, and it's now, because I've seen plenty of people, I've even seen people leave links to the interview on different websites where you can still find it. This is no longer with IFL. And in that interview, Mark Tibbs was alluding to the fact that he asked Billy Joe Saunders between the 8th round going into the 9th round, how are you feeling, do you want to, etc., etc., and he said that the answers weren't satisfactory. So he made the decision to call it. Now, Ben Davison, in the last few days, has come out and said that he said Billy Joe Saunders wanted to go out for the 9th round, but he himself made the decision to stop the fight. Now, I did a video on that actually yesterday, and I alluded to the fact that I didn't believe that, because you can see in the corner, you could see in the corner between the 8th round to the 9th round live that didn't look like it was the case. You saw Billy Joe Saunders nodding his head. And I also alluded to the fact that Ben Davison, whilst he was the assistant coach, he wasn't the head trainer in that fight. And I've never seen an occasion where the assistant coach has been able to overrule the head trainer. So essentially, I was watching Beats, and he said in one of his live streams that imagine Manuel Stewart was still alive, and he was training Klitschko. All right, and Klitschko suffered, an injury or took a beating in one of the rounds, and say Jonathan Banks, the assistant trainer, jumped up and said, "I'm stopping the fight." What would Manuel Stewart say? Manuel Stewart would get up and say, "This is my fighter, I'm deciding what goes on." So that's why when I heard that, well, even before I heard that, when I heard Ben Davison say it, I was like, nah, man, I'm not buying that. We've seen channels like IFL, Seconds Out, Behind the Glove. The interviews they've conducted with people have been saying, like Carl Frost, for example, have been saying, Billy Joe fought like a warrior, he didn't quit, etc., etc. Very different when Daniel Dubois quit against Joe Joyce. Completely different. It was completely different the way they handled that. We saw a lot of interviews with fighters who were very, very critical of Dubois. I believe IFL actually interviewed Joe Joyce's mother. Now, what Daniel Dubois said to Joe Joyce's mother, now I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember the actual quote, but he essentially alluded to the fact that, well, she's blind. And I think he said, "Don't worry about your son, you won't see what I'll do to him," or words to that effect, or "You won't need to worry about recognising him." Essentially making it that Daniel Dubois doesn't come across as the sharpest tool in the box. That was out of order. That's not, whatever you want to do about joking, and you know me, I've got a bit of a dark sense of humour, that's silly. But Daniel Dubois, as I said, seems a cool guy, but doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the box. No, it really doesn't. You see his PR, his whole demeanour and all is very bizarre. That's the best way to describe it. But nevertheless, in the aftermath of his loss to Joe Joyce, we saw people, Carl Frampton, Joe Joyce's mother, all these interviews. With Billy Joe, we're not seeing that. Eubank Jr. was the very first person to go on Instagram or go on Twitter and, have a go at Billy Joe. You would have thought that if IFL won views, they would have been like, right, get Eubank Jr. on. Go get, Umar or get someone over to Eubank and interview him straight. They didn't do that. Same with other companies or other channels, I should say. And why are they doing that? As far as I'm concerned, down to business. At the end of the day, these guys are businessmen. Michelle Joy Phelps, business. Seconds Out, business. Coogan, business. Coogan is sponsored by MTK. IFL is sponsored. It's been sponsored by MTK for years, even back when it was MGM. Macklin's Gym Marbella. It's always been sponsored by them for the longest time. It's not the same with Daniel Dubois. He's just a Queensbury fighter. There's no affiliation with MTK. I don't even think there is with Joe Joyce. So it's very different. And you need to remember, right? I remember when Coogan Did he upset Klitschko, or did he say something? I forget what it was. But Team Klitschko, in the run up to the AJ Klitschko fight, didn't allow Coogan into the press. I think they didn't even allow him on press row. And I remember him having, saying to Eddie, and Eddie Hearn even said, look what I've done for you. Don't remember what I've done for you. This is a once off. And these guys are looking at this as a business. They are. It's a business for them. They're not going to give two sides of the argument. They're not going to give it both ways if they have a sponsor looking at them. It's the same with the other guys. They need to stay face with these guys, So they're not going to give it both ways. They're not going to say, right, well, we'll give, people, bigging up Billy Joe, but we're not going to show anyone criticising him. They're not going to do that. They're not going to show like Eubank Jr. interview. They may very well later on down the line, if they interview him for a fight or something. But for now, they're not going to show him anything. Why is that? Because it's a business. I remember Coogan on Instagram, when people grilled him about Dubois, this is back a few months ago, words to the effect of, well, I'm a journalist, I'm just doing my job. But when the same thing happened with Billy Joe, oh, well, I'm not a journalist. That's why I have a lot of respect for Rob Tebbert. Because Rob Tebbert and Boxing Social, to me, they are journalists. And they ask the hard questions. And they grilled the fighters and promoters for the answers. I remember Rob Tebbert, I think a year or two ago, it might have been 2019, I forget who he was interviewing, but they asked him about Frank Warren. And as Rob Tebbert said, well, when do you ever see me interview Frank Warren? Never. Rob Tebbert is the sort of journalist, and he is a journalist by his own admission, where he will ask the questions, the hard questions to the promoter and to the fighters, and he doesn't care about any repercussions, because as he said, even when he interviewed Adam Smith and he grilled Adam Smith about the price increase in pay-per-view for AJ Pulev, and he said, you said that was a once-off for Ruiz. And when he said, yes, but it's an AJ title defence, Rob Tebbert correctly said, well, no. You said it was a once-off for AJ Ruiz, now you're doing it again. And you could see Adam Smith was really getting annoyed. And as Rob Tebbert said, I'm a journalist. It's my job to ask these difficult questions and to get the answers. That's how a journalist behaves. We don't see a lot of that in general from journalists these days, for obvious reasons in every aspect. I'm not talking about boxing, I'm talking about every aspect. We don't see a lot of that. A lot of them just tend to just not ask anything. But Rob Tebbert, for my money, best interviewer and a very good journalist. And I've spoken with Rob on Twitter a few days. He seems a cool guy. But you have to expect that it's going to be one-sided when it comes to people like IFL, seconds out. Coogan is mates with Billy Joe. He is. I think he's admitted that. So he is not going to show anyone, having a bad word about it. Some people have been getting annoyed saying, well, it's just favouritism, it's this, that and the other. It does look that way, but does it, put it like this, am I surprised they're doing one way where they only have people pick it up? No. I'm sure if we get a high profile fight in the UK, in fact, I'm pretty much sure of it. If we get a high profile fight in the UK and it's maybe two Frank Warren fighters, just for argument's sake, Liam Williams and Denzel Bentley, just chucking the names out, and they have a fight and Liam Williams quits. Would it be one-sided, people bigging up Liam Williams, or would they be, having a two coins? Would they be like criticising him, bigging him up? It'd be criticising, bigging him up. If it was Matchroom, Conor Benn against, Sean Porter, and Conor Benn quit, would it be people ridiculing him? I doubt that very much. Would there be people, would they be showing interviews of people saying, Conor Benn shouldn't? I doubt that. You got to understand the way they're looking at it. They're looking at it from a business point of view. So that's what I think is going on there. I just said I'd make a video, give my 2 cents on it. I kind of want to take a step back from that now, but that's my 2 cents on it. I think at the end of the day, right, if they're going to have contrasting stories like Ben Davison and Mark Tibbs, they really would have wanted to get it sorted before that. Because, as I said, like, you have an interview with Mark Tibbs, which is no longer up, where he's saying, Billy Joe in the corner, I didn't like the answers he gave, I made the decision. And you have Ben Davison, who many of us didn't even know would be in the corner, saying, Billy Joe wanted to go out, but, I made the decision. It's like, what? It didn't look like that to me. In the corner between rounds, you can see that. It didn't look like that to me. And as I said earlier, can an assistant coach make that decision? I mean, where have you ever seen an assistant coach come up and say, like, I'm the one stopping the fight? And at the end of the day, as well as that, if Billy Joe did want to go out and, fight on, there was no protest. We've seen it in the past when corners have pulled fighters out and the fighter was protested. I'll give you an example. And we've seen also fighters leave their teams because of that. I remember when David Lemieux fought Glenn Tap. No, not Glenn Tapia. What's the guy's name? I forget the guy's name, but I think it's something Tapia. I think it is anyway. But I forget the guy's name. But he fought him on the undercard of Canelo versus Amir Khan. I think it was the co-feature, and the guy took a beating. The guy's name escapes me. I'm sure someone might remember if they look it up on BoxRec. But Lemieux stopped him in 4 rounds. But the guy was trained by Freddie Roach, and Freddie Roach threw in the towel after 4 rounds. All right, and he was livid to the point where for his next fight, he didn't train with Freddie Roach. He binned him. You know, we saw Kell Brook was a bit unhappy when Dominic Ingle threw in the towel in the 5th round against Golovkin. We've seen fighters in the past, when people have made decisions to pull them out, really get agitated, you know, because they feel like they could have carried on. Billy Joe, there was none of that, you know. So I gotta say it like that. In terms of this video, I'm gonna call it here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash the like button. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Hashtag G-Man's Rocks, all that good stuff. Lads and lasties, for now, I'll talk to you.